Hey kiddos, it is Mr. King yet again, and we are going to make a really simple shape pumpkin. We've been talking about using simple shapes to make different kinds of drawings. So what you're going to need for this one is some colored paper. I'm using black paper here because I want it for my background for my pumpkin. I'm using a circle of cardstock. You could substitute this with cardboard. This could be any sort of colored paper you'd want to use, or even cardstock or cardboard itself. And then in the classroom, we're doing this as a watercolor. For you guys, you can use anything that colors, whether it be crayons or markers or anything else. You will need a pair of scissors, and I would suggest having a pencil just because that's really nice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a spooky pumpkin here out of our circle of paper and our black background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a mouth across my pumpkin, okay? And you can kind of decide how you want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of a straight line here. I'm going to make it V down for kind of a fang-like tooth right here. I actually have that happen again to make two of them. Actually, you know what? I was going to come back up, but I'm just going to have this come across down here. I like the idea of the mouth kind of changing around a little bit. So I'm going to do one more of the same thing on the other side, and I'm going to end it over here. Once you have it the way you want to, I do suggest you marker it in, just so you've got a wider line to follow with your scissors. So whatever you draw, you are going to need to cut out, so keep that in mind. So there's my mouth. I'm then going to put my eyes in here. So I want to show you something cool. You can make triangle eyes to make it really easy for yourself. If you're having a hard time with a triangle for whatever reason, circles are totally fine to make kind of a cartoon eye. And so I'm doing mine really simple pumpkin eyes. I'll do a little triangle for the nose. And one cool thing is if you want to make it look like your pumpkin's actually cut out, watch this. Make a little tiny triangle at the bottom and then connect the top of each triangle down like that, and boom, it looks kind of 3D, like there's actually, carved out a little bit of pumpkin there. So that's all you really got to do. Now, if you want to make a pumpkin texture, what you can do is actually put a dot at the top and the bottom. And then what you're going to do is you're going to draw a curved line on either side. Now I'm just going to go across like this. And I like to tell the kids this is like making a beach ball. You want to kind of stop it and pick it back up going through your eyes or nose there so that it looks very nice. And there we go. Now I like to switch it up here if you're going to use markers to outline into something like your crayons, because you can go straight over your marker when you're coloring it in. I do suggest you spend a little bit of time and you color blend, because I think that'll look really, really good when you do it. So I might actually go with orange in the middle here, traditional pumpkin color, obviously. I'm gonna leave the eyes and nose for a different color. Probably gonna use a yellow, kind of like the inside of the pumpkin. I'm just kind of coloring mine loosely and quickly here. And again, I'm using construction paper crayons with a black wrapper. I think these are way better than your regular standard crayons. They cost a little bit more, but I think it's well worth it. But any crayons will really do it. I do think it's worth, especially with crayons, to spend that little bit extra for the one you want, because to be honest with you, the kind that you get like at a restaurant they're gonna hand you before a meal can be kind of frustrating and crumbly to use. Now the fun thing is I'm going to switch up my color going around the outside edge. I want you guys, if you can, to experiment a little bit with color blending. That means that I'm going to be running my reddish kind of pink here right over the top of my orange a little bit. And I'm going to see what happens when my colors mix together. Now I really like the way that looks, having the red on the outside and the orange in the middle. I'm curving it right along with that little bit of pumpkin texture I gave it. If any of these things are way too hard for you, if you try it out on one side and you say, oh, I don't like the way this is going, don't worry, guys. Making mistakes is just part of the game. You can always flip it over and make it easier on yourself. Try a flat mouth. Don't do the pumpkin texture. Just do the eyes and the nose and the mouth. That's okay. Don't worry if you make mistakes. It's not the end of the world. You can always work with them too, though. So I've made my pumpkin pretty good right there. One thing I want to show you is when I do the eyes, I like to use different colors here. So I like going with the yellow on the inside. Makes it look kind of like that pumpkin flesh right there. I'm gonna choose maybe a slightly more interesting color. How about, I don't know. I can't make a decision here. Why don't I go with, I got this, I don't know if this is the same red. I think it's a different one. Maybe it's the same. A little bit of red there on the insides of the eyes there to make it look like it's glowing a little bit. So Here's the next part. We're taking those scissors. I told you about that. And we are going to cut along our mouth that we made. So remember, whatever line you made, you're going to have to cut out. So make sure it's something that you feel confident enough in doing. If you mess up on the cuts, though, it's pretty easy to fix these. There you go. So I've got one half of my pumpkin mouth here. I can position it any way I want. I'm going to have mine separated a little bit like so. So I'm going to take my glue stick. I forgot to mention that as one of the supplies, but I will have that listed in the front of the video. And apply glue all over it, and very nicely. You could always use liquid glue with this. It really doesn't matter if it's glue stick or liquid glue. I just like glue sticks because they're easier to use and because it's more instantaneous in terms of it bonding. It's going to dry a lot quicker because the glue is a lot thinner and already tacky. So parents, if you're hearing me, I always suggest having glue sticks on hand because liquid glue is good and is more versatile, but glue sticks are a lot better when you're going paper to paper. So there we go. We're already most of the way done right here. Now in class, we are doing these in watercolor paint to blend our colors. I'm showing you guys with crayon because I figure that's something you more likely have at home. If you have watercolor paint and you have watercolor paper, that would be a great thing to do right here too. So in the classroom, that's what we're doing. But for the video purposes, I'm doing it with crayon. You could use colored pencil or marker for that. So if you want to see, I'm going to start adding some details to my black background. This is why I love those construction paper crayons. You press down hard on a colored construction paper and they will really pop out and look really cool. And so now I'm basically there, but I would say let's add some other fun things going on right here. I might decide, one of my kids told me, they were like, hey, Mr. King, can we do like flames on the inside of our pumpkin's mouth? And I was like, yeah. So I'm going to do this kind of zigzaggy line, which I'm going to color in a little bit with my reddish here. And then I might come back in next with like my orange and then my yellow. So there's that. Again, gets me an opportunity to color blend a little bit. So we're, again, just using like really simple shapes to start with and just adding more and more detail to this to make it more and more interesting. So we're kind of getting away from the shapes as we go on and adding a little bit more interest with our flame texture here, with that pumpkin texture we added on. And you guys can see now I've got my flaming pumpkin sitting right there. Kind of cool. You might even want to do one thing I always kind of like doing is taking the brightest color that I have and outlining something that I've done in a darker color. So I think that really makes that red pop out a little more. Just a little, you know, if you want to thing. And then I would also say maybe add a ground line. That means you're adding the line of where your pumpkin is on the ground. So I'm going to bring that up behind my pumpkin. It's going to be a straight line right here, right here. And I can color that in a little bit, and it looks kind of like he's sitting in the pumpkin patch there. All right. Also, really cool little technique if you want to add a moon or some cool stuff going on in the background. For doing moons, one cool thing I like to do is take your pencil, make your circle. Now, if you need help, you can find something else to trace it. So I'll use this glue stick to show you. Anything you can make a circle with works. You can use a quarter or something like that. That's a good size. So I've made that right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another circle right up against the edge of the circle I've already made. So all the way up against that one edge. And what I can then do is I trace most of that inside circle. And then I connect it with the outside circle. You guys see I got that really cool, nice crescent moon. That looks pretty good. I don't think I could have just done that good of a moon without that little circle guide. So it's a nice way to kind of help yourself along, make it easier. And go ahead and keep adding some cool details until you're, you know, just happy with it. You feel like you've done the best you could. I'm going to erase that little pencil line between. Oh, and cool little thing to show you too. On construction paper especially, watch this. Oh no, I messed up. I can't do anything about it. Well, guess what? Crazily enough, crayon actually erases off of construction paper pretty well. So it's a nice match to use them together. So you can still kind of see it just faintly, but it's kind of like when you're using pencil on paper and you erase it. Sometimes you can see a little bit of it. You can just do these little kind of larger and smaller plus signs for some stars if you want to. So now I got my nighttime flaming pumpkin in the pumpkin patch. You guys can go into as much detail as you possibly want. One kind of neat thing to point out is if you happen to have a Sharpie, if you're careful about it, you can go back over your crayon with this. You don't want to press down super hard because you don't want to get the wax pushed too far into the marker. But sometimes it's a nice way to get these lines to pop back out and look really good. And that's it, guys. have some fun, make some pumpkins, make them crazy. Love it. Love to see the images. Some of you guys are sending me emails with like, a whole slew of art projects around you, and it brightens up my day. Makes me feel great. So if you want to show me what you're working on, I'm very happy about that. Please submit though via Google Classroom. Email does work if you can't get it on there for some reason. But I do want to see what you're doing. I do want to see you're making these artworks at home and you're challenging yourselves and learning, and that's really fun. So again, simple shape here. We're using the circle to begin with, and then we're modifying it over and over and over again. And I also want to point out that we're using both markers and crayons and color blending, so kind of a multiple technique piece here, and medium. So kind of a cool multimedia project. All right, guys, have an awesome weekend. I'll see you later. Remember to keep drawing, keep working, keep making, and do not ever give up. Bye-bye.